Amsterdam, the Netherlands, was the first country I ever visited outside England, including Wales and Scotland. I came in before that. Hiya. Hiya. We're here. Okay. Cheers, mate. I'll just grab a cup of coffee. We used to go, in the days when the pirate radio stations were still going on the ships, to a place called Scheveningen. I could never say it. Scheveningen.
Scheveningen. You're caught, you're not Dutch.
Scheveningen. No, I couldn't say it.
So, can you give like a brief overview of what you will say coming Saturday?
Well, brief will not cover what is going to be delivered on Saturday, because I talk for 7-8 hours, and there's a reason for that. Do it in 3 sections, not all at once, with about 1,200 illustrations. Because what I've spent the last 20 years doing is uncovering a long planned agenda for the fascist centralized control of humanity. And the rabbit hole, as they say, goes very deep. I started off 20 years ago looking at what I call the 5 cents level of this, which is how major corporations that appear to be in competition are owned by the same people, the banks that appear to be in competition are owned by the same people. If you've got major political parties in a country that have any chance of forming a government, they're controlled ultimately by the same people that control the banks and the corporations. And basically, what that level of it is, it consists of a series of interbreeding families that came out of the ancient world, and they expanded through what we call history, influence and control. And they've done it by the only way the few can control the many, and that is the incessant centralization of power. The more diversity you have of decision making, the less power one small cabal can have over everybody. So if you look through history, at one point there was a tribal situation where the members of the tribe decided the destiny and the decision making of the tribe. There then came a fundamental shift when lots and lots of tribes all over the world were gathered together in what we call nations. Now one central point is dictating to all those former tribes that were deciding their own decisions. And then of course, and Europe led the way, we moved with the European Union, although they want a North American Union, they want an Asia Pacific Union, they have an African Union. This next level is it happening in Europe or what? Is to gather those nations together that were formerly making their own decisions and centrally dictating the decisions and laws and impositions of all those nations from a central point, not even with elected people. I mean, the elected European Parliament, I mean, it's a joke. It's just there for, you know, PR reasons. The real power is with the Commission and the bureaucrats that are appointed, not elected. So that was the first section of what I was doing, and I still do that because it moves on. And the agenda at this level is to structure the world with a world government dictating to every country, a world central bank dictating all global finance to every person in every country, a world army to impose the will of the world government on every country that doesn't want to accept it, a global single currency that would be electronic, not cash. And of course there's massive implications for freedom in that, because at the moment if you go into a store or wherever and you offer electronic money, a credit card, and the computer system says no to your card, you still have the choice of paying cash. Once cash is gone and there's only that electronic currency, then when the computer says no, then you have no other means of purchasing except barter. And this is the idea. And the other key part of this agenda I'm just describing is microchip people. And when I started saying that this was what was planned 10, 15 years ago, people sat, and I understand it, they found it ridiculous, they found it extreme and far-fetched. Well, not anymore, because it's being openly talked about. So that was that level of it. And then what I'm going to do in other parts of the event on Saturday is look at deeper levels, that what is behind that. Because as my journey continued from about 1990 through to today, it went in three very clear sections where, first of all, it was, you know, the corporations and the banks and the engineered wars and the engineered terrorist events like 9/11. And then it suddenly moved into non-human entities that were behind these families. And of course, when I first heard about this, you go, what? And I put it on the back burner, and I thought, well, I'm going to see where this goes. I'm going to keep my you know, self quiet on this and just see where it goes. And where it went was, over the years that followed, I came across all over the world, because I've been to 50 countries researching this. I've not sat in a darkened room working it out. I've been to 50 countries researching this. And all over the world I came across this common theme of people from all different walks of life who said they'd seen humans, often in positions of power, but not always, change in front of their eyes from a human form into a reptilian type form. And of course you go, can I have that once again? Just once more, slowly. And then I started realizing that the same stories that people in the modern world were describing to me that they'd experienced are in these ancient accounts and texts all over the world. And anyway, to cut a long story short, as they say, it became very clear and blatant that behind these families is a reptilian non-human race that is orchestrating this whole control system. And then from then I started moving from about 2003. Increasingly information was coming into me in this synchronistic series of apparent coincidences about the nature of reality itself, and the fact that this apparently solid world is not solid at all. It's an illusion and only exists in this apparently solid form in our brain. You know, in the Matrix, where the Neo character says to Morpheus when they're in a computer program, this isn't real. And Morpheus says, well, what is real? If you're talking about what you can see, taste, you know, touch, hear, etc., then real is just electrical signals interpreted by your brain. And suddenly that gives you an understanding of so much that I learned previously, and how what seemed to be impossible is actually perfectly logical and possible. So the five senses take vibrational information, energetic information, they turn it into electrical signals, they send it to the brain, and the brain decodes that information into this apparently solid world, which is actually just holographic, it's illusory. It's not solid at all. And this is why you get in things like quantum physics this apparent contradiction between the fact that scientists say that this physical world is made up of atoms,